Hi, Standers. This is Sheila Hollinger from Marriage Revealed Ministries. Welcome to the first of many Stand Firm videos where I will pick a topic and share some wisdom and direction on some of the most pertinent things that standers go through. And today's topic is on what happens when we have a change in details. How the change in details is not a change in direction. And that is one of the most conflicting things that happens to a stander is when all of a sudden their detail changes. And that can be anything, any type of detail. And we do go into, there is a video on details that do change and how that can really affect how you change in your feelings and your emotions and your struggles. But we're here to share today how a change in details is not a change in direction according to God. Yes, it does change your feelings. It changes your emotions. It can bring a change in your peace. It can bring in fear. It can bring in some confusion, doubts, and those are all the things that will change within you. But it does not change your final outcome that you are praying for. It does not change the bigger picture. So that's where we have to take a real good, clear understanding that God is not moved by our needs. He stands in accordance with His will and purpose. He is looking at the final, okay, the final thing that He is after. God doesn't allow the details to come in and alter His perspective. He doesn't allow it to come in and distract Him. He doesn't get ruled by feelings and emotions that He has, and He doesn't allow our feelings and emotions to persuade Him either. And that is a huge thing, to look at Him as our example. If He is not concerned, if He is not worried, then you should not be either. But He is there to help you go through that detail, to process it, and to learn how to, get a grip on your feelings, on your emotions. You can get really angry and hurt and devastated by that detail. But as long as you are standing firm and letting yourself, go through those feelings, but not giving you an option to be afraid that because the detail changed, that everything now has changed. Because I'm telling you, nothing has changed. When God calls you to stand, He has the final outcome as His motivation, as His purpose. That is what He is standing on. Same with you. You cannot be shaken. You can't. You have to remain firm. Psalm 62, He only is my rock and my salvation, my stronghold. I shall not be greatly shaken. Why are we not greatly shaken? Because He is not greatly shaken. If you understand, if you are standing in a stronghold, if you are standing on a rock, okay, the only way that you can be shaken is if that stronghold starts to shake, if that rock starts to shake. But because He is your rock, He is your stronghold, if there is any shaking going on, it's you that's doing the shaking. So that's a really good thing to understand, that the shaking is not because God is all of a sudden, shaking and saying, oh no, what do we do? What do we do? If you can really grasp this, that you are the one being affected by the detail, you are the one that's being shaken and tossed about, but He is not. And that's where you can grab a hold, that you do not have to be all shaken and confused. And yes, you will be upset. I'm not saying you won't be upset, but there is a difference between, going through that detail and grieving over the hurt and the pain and everything that brings. But I'm talking about the confusion, the shaking that comes, that makes you start saying things like, Oh, maybe God isn't going to restore, and maybe this means my spouse will never ever do this or go this way, or that's the shaking, the doubts that come. Yes, you can hurt over their choices. You can hurt when they, made a decision that affects you, your family, their family. That is a painful thing to go through, but that doesn't mean that the final goal has changed. And we're going to do another video on what that final goal is, because that is really important for you to be able to remain and stand firm. So here's what we need to do. When change comes, you have to ask yourself the right question. What has changed? Is it me or is it God? The circumstances or God? That's where the fear and the shaking comes in. When you are looking at a circumstance and actually looking at it as, oh, God has changed. They did something, so that must mean God has decided to let my spouse, do it, which means God has changed his mind and he no longer wants to restore our marriage. And that is a big misconception, a lie that you have to really look at and dismantle. If a circumstance has changed, that has nothing to do with God's will, God's heart, his purpose, his direction, his stand. Circumstances have nothing to do with God changing direction. And I mean, when I say this, I'm talking about, because yes, God does change people. Yes, God does change things around. But I'm saying that if something has changed and now you no longer have hope, if you no longer have a stand where you feel assurance and you feel secure because something they did, something that someone who is living in the dark did, then your focus is on the wrong thing. It's either on the person or it's on the circumstance. And that's where your shakiness is coming from, because your focus has now gotten off of God. Doubts have come in, fears have come in, hurt has come in. And from this place, you will start, you'll start going around, start looking for answers, start running around in this crazy desperation. And you need to just sit quiet and start asking yourself these questions. Has God changed? No. No, God doesn't change. God stays firm. He stands firm. He's rooted. He is the rock. He is the stronghold. He doesn't move. He's not going to move because your spouse has cried out to him, begging him, release me, I don't want to be doing this or that. If it's not in alignment with God's will, God is not going to bend or yield to their cries, just like he is not going to bend and yield to your cries for him to hurry up. He has a greater purpose. He's got a greater goal. And again, we are going to do another video on that. Psalm 16:8, I have set the Lord continually before me. Because he is at my right hand, I will not be shaken. If you are continually putting God and what he wants and his will before you, and if you make that the thing that you are staring at continually, what does God want? What does he want from all of this? What is he after? If you don't know, that's where you get shaken. That's where you will fall into a place of doubts, fear, insecurity. You will get blinded and lost in your own place of not knowing what it is God is really after. And I look forward to sharing that video with you very soon. God bless you, and remember, you cannot be shaken if you are in his stronghold and standing on the rock. He is our strong tower. He is our hope. And he will guide you and hold you steady and hold you fast as long as your eyes are on him. God bless you.